In this video, I want to talk to you about a very important part of your engine referred to as a timing belt. And you need to know if your vehicle does have a timing belt. Some vehicles have chains, but a lot of vehicles have timing belt, and it is a required maintenance item on your vehicle. But before we get into timing belts and when to change it, I want to give you the purpose of the timing belt. It's to explain to you what goes on in a typical engine, and then we'll move on to timing belts and the need to change them out. When an engine starts, a piston comes down, creating a suction, or what's referred to as manifold vacuum. And when that's occurring, one of the intake valves opens up. As the piston's coming down, the intake valve is opened up. That's the charging stroke. Fuel is brought into the cylinder by a fuel injector, or in some cases a carburetor. Carburetors have kind of gone the wayside. And then as the piston reaches the bottom of the stroke, the intake valve shuts off. The cylinder is charged with fuel air mixture, and then you have the compression stroke, and the piston is moved back up into the cylinder. Just before it reaches the very top of the stroke, there is a current that passes through the spark plug, which ignites that fuel air mixture. When that happens, you have your power stroke, and the piston comes back down, transferring power through the piston, through the connecting rod, into the crankshaft, and into the transmission, which causes the vehicle to move. Once that stroke is completed, then the piston comes back up, an exhaust valve opens up, and as the piston continues up, then the exhaust moves out into the manifold, into the catalytic converter, and out of the tailpipe. And this cycle repeats itself over and over and over again, depending upon the how you're driving. If you're just idling, it's about 700 times a minute. When you're really heavy into the accelerator, it can be 4,000 or 5,000 times a minute. So you can see how quick this is going on. Having explained to you about the engine, you can see it's important to have the correct timing of all of this happening. That's the name of the timing belt. The timing belt wraps around the camshafts, through some tensioners, around the crankshaft sprocket, and it's important that that is maintained and is maintained properly. Your manufacturer sets the mileage that belt is required to be replaced. Some engines are referred to as non-interference engines, and some engines are referred to as interference engine. What that means is if the timing belt were to slip or break and that piston comes up with those valves not opening and closing at the right time, in an interference engine, that piston is going to come up and bend that valve. So if you don't replace your belt and it goes well beyond the interval that the manufacturer suggests, your repair all of a sudden goes from a maintenance issue to a major engine repair, like replacing cylinder heads. It's 3 or 4 times the cost of just having the timing belt replaced. Now, if first you need to know if your vehicle has a timing belt or not. You need to know the interval that the manufacturer suggests that you replace that timing belt, and budget accordingly, and have that done so that you can minimize major problems down the road. Also, when you're having the timing belt replaced, the person doing the work may suggest, hey, let's replace the water pump while we're in here. And that's right, because generally you're at about 60 to 90,000 miles when this gets done. If you just replace the belt and you don't replace the water pump, which just requires a little bit more money for the pump itself and a little bit more labor, because you're already right there once you get everything out of the way to replace the timing belt, you're not looking at a big expense. And let's say you just replace the belt and 6 months or 12 months down the road that water pump starts leaking, you're going to be doing the exact same repair over again when you really don't have to, and you'll be spending more than double your money. So timing belts are important. Know if your car's got one. Know the service interval that the manufacturer suggests that it be replaced. Be prepared to do it, because if you don't, you're looking at some serious repairs, and you're going to break down when you just don't need to. If you got any questions, certainly feel free to go on our website at prismautomotive.com. Reach out to us and we can help you with any additional information that you may need.